Johnson, again, ties Anderson Silva's record. And as has been the case, especially as of late with Demetrious, when he wins, when he looks supremely impressive, the conversation becomes, where does he fit in the GOAT discussion? Where does he fit in the pound-for-pound discussion? I will concede the fact that I seem to be the only one banging on the Daniel Cormier pound-for-pound #1 drum at the moment, and that's fine. It's a very subjective thing. That's okay. We can disagree on that. I saw John Anik actually tweet about this yesterday. He said that he prefers the GOAT discussion over the pound-for-pound discussion, and I would disagree with that respectfully, because I feel like the GOAT discussion is even more subjective than the pound-for-pound discussion. The GOAT discussion really is impossible to really pinpoint, because especially in this sport, so much has happened in the last 24 years. If you look at 1993, you look at 2000, you look at 2005, you even look at 2010, the sport is so drastically different that it really isn't fair to compare today's fighters to the ones from 10 years ago to 20 years ago. I mean, it's one thing to try to compare Bill Russell to Shaquille O'Neal, or Michael Jordan to Jerry West, or Russell Westbrook to Oscar Robertson. Those discussions, in my opinion, don't apply, and they certainly don't apply in MMA. To try and compare Fedor to DJ, it doesn't really fit. And where does Royce Gracie fit in all of this? Even Anderson to DJ doesn't fit. So the GOAT discussion, while it could be fun, to me, it's impossible. Every single person who believes in Fedor, who believes, there's 5 really: Fedor, Anderson, John Jones, GSP, Demetrious, right? I think everyone would kind of agree with those 5. You can get a DJ guy, an Anderson guy, a GSP guy, a Fedor guy, a John Jones guy, all sitting around at a table. They'll all have very, very, very good arguments as to why they're right. It doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. And then in the pound-for-pound discussion, of course, he's at the top. Of course, he's either 1 or 2. Again, it doesn't really matter. I think it's important to recognize that without a shadow of a doubt, a guy who we didn't expect to become this great is right now one of the all-time greats. He will go down as one of the all-time greats. I mean, Hall of Famer, yeah, all that stuff is great. But, like, he will go down as one of the greatest fighters to ever step foot in the octagon. There is absolutely no doubt about that. The travesty for Demetrious Johnson, in my opinion, is, well, there's 2. A, there is such a massive gap between him and the rest of the division. We may actually not know truly how great he is. Demetrious Johnson, think about this, could actually be better than we think he is. We just don't know it, because with all due respect, he's not fighting guys who are going to be Hall of Famers. You can't say that about Fedor, John Jones, Anderson, GSP. They all fought and beat guys who are Hall of Famers, who are all-time greats, who are legends of the sport. None of the guys that DJ has beaten in his last 10 fights, at least right now, are future Hall of Famers. Now, what's impressive about DJ is a couple times he had to fight guys twice. And usually it's tougher to fight a guy for a second time because they now know a little more about you. What's impressive about him is he actually made those fights look easier. Performed way better against John Dodson the second time than the first time. Performed way better against Joseph Benavidez the second time as opposed to the first time. Even against Ian McCall, those weren't title fights, part of the tournament. Draw the first time, beat him rather convincingly the second time. That's really impressive. For the most part, Anderson, Jones, GSP, those guys didn't have a lot of rematches on their resume. And of course, that's a product of the fact that there's not that many contenders at 125. So he doesn't have a lot of competition, and that's no knock on him. He's fighting the guys that they put up in front of him. But I think because his competition isn't viewed to be as great as maybe some of the other guys in that discussion, that GOAT discussion, fans are reluctant to give him his due, which is unfair to him because, again, he's there. It's up to the other guys to get better. And the other thing that really hurts him, especially when it comes to a popularity standpoint, and that, you know, we can deny it all we want, that comes into play. And it certainly comes into play when you see the ratings, and they weren't great this time, and you see the pay-per-view numbers, and they typically aren't great. He is desperate for a Chael Sonnen to his Anderson. He is desperate for a Conor McGregor to his Jose Aldo. A Nick Diaz to his GSP. He is desperate for that foil that people can get behind, who think that, you know, They think that he's going to knock off DJ. He's going to get under his skin. He's going to insult him. If we learned anything from last year, and I'm not breaking any news here, if we learned anything from last year, it's that a grudge match, a rivalry, conflict, in the people's eyes, is more interesting, is more compelling, is more appealing than title defenses, random title fights that you're just going to put on TV, dominant champion versus fighter X, contender X. Diaz, McGregor, no titles on the line, broke all kinds of records. That's what people want to see. They want to see conflict. They want to pick a side. They want to see two guys staring off at each other. You think they're going to fight. You think they're going to brawl beforehand. They're getting personal, insulting each other. That's what they want. And unfortunately, he hasn't had that guy. A couple of moments here and there with, Cejudo, I don't know, McCall, but nothing really that captivated the audience. And that's unfortunate. He needs that guy. That's why I always said Aldo needed McGregor more than McGregor needed Aldo. McGregor was going to go to the top. He was going to shoot for the stars regardless of who was the champ, and he would have formed his narrative based on who that guy was. He did it against Mendes. He did it against Aldo. It didn't matter. But Aldo needed that guy to bring the best out of him and to then get people excited about him. Anderson, before he fought Vitor, before he fought, after Vitor, then he fights Chael Sonnen. Now people start to care. Look at Anderson's pay-per-view numbers beforehand and compare them to the times. Not great. People needed to care about him. Pick a side, get emotionally attached. DJ's missing that. Again, this is not his problem. This is no knock on him. He's doing everything that's asked of him. And you want to see the UFC push him more, and they're starting to do it a little more, and they're putting out videos about his video game, obsession and the Twitch stuff. He is definitely coming into his own. He is more comfortable telling us that he's the best, that his shit don't stink, that, he's the greatest to ever step foot in the octagon, that no one can touch him. I like that, DJ. He's great and he knows it. I want my 10 belts. Where are my 10 belts? Where's my respect? Where's my 7-figure payday? This is fun. He is just so good as a fighter. And I hope that we can't worry about the UFC's problems. The UFC's problems are, how do you promote this guy? How do you get people to watch this guy? How do you get people to pay to watch this guy? That's not our problem at the end of the day. You and I, who follow the sport, who love the sport, who are hardcore fans of the sport, who live and breathe the sport, we know who DJ is, and we can appreciate him. It's not our problem anymore to try to convince others. Appreciate how good this guy is. I mean, when you watch him fight, what he does on his feet, what he does on the ground, his connection with Matt Hume, the fact that he's never changed coaches, teams, management. His manager is Matt Hume. No entourage, no ego, no nothing. He's the same guy. He's the same guy from WEC. Nothing's changed. That is remarkable. Same guy. Text him on Saturday night after he wins. Hey, can you come on the show to talk? He writes back within minutes. The freaking main event on Fox. 10 straight title defenses. Yeah, man, I'll be there. No problem. No handlers. No nothing. He is a rare, rare breed. And I hope we can appreciate that. The problem is the rest of the world needs the competition, needs, the conflict. They need that to really try and put him in his proper context. We could do it, I feel like. I feel like we can do it. We understand what he's doing. He is making everyone else seem like they're the 20th ranked fighter fighting the first. They're not, but the gap between them now is just so damn great. It really is. And please stop talking about him fighting at 135 next or him trying to fight McGregor. No, let's break the record first. I mean, you're there. Break the record, smash the record. Win 20 in a row at this point. He's not going to get more money to fight a Cody, I think. At least not right now. Maybe Cody gets bigger, drops down to 125. But why go up to 135? Keep on smashing those records. If people are going to have a hard time giving you your due because of the lack of competition, because of the lack of foil, separate yourself from the pack with history, with numbers. Get 20 in a row. You can do it. You're just 30 years old. What's stopping you? Do that. It's a joy to watch him fight. It's a joy to deal with him from a interviewee standpoint. I just wish for his sake, and I know he won't admit it, even when I ask him in a bit, I wish for his sake he had that foil, that epic rivalry. That helps everyone. It always does. You need that in combat sports. That's just a fact. And he hasn't had that yet. It's not over yet. Someone may emerge. Maybe it's Cody. Who knows? Right now, he hasn't had that. And that's why when you look at the ratings, when you look at the pay-per-view numbers, they're not there. It's not his fault. It's not his fault that he's that damn good. It's not his fault that there is such a gap between him and the rest. He's just doing his job. And if you can't find at this point, any enjoyment, any entertainment out of Demetrious Johnson, again, I'll say it, you are not a true MMA fan. You just aren't. I don't think anyone who watches this show, follows me on Twitter, doesn't appreciate DJ anymore. I don't buy that. I really don't. I think we've passed that point. But there are other people out there who need that conflict, that crap talking, the rivalry, the stare down. They need that. And right now he doesn't have that. And that's why he's not being considered in that, top draw category, despite the fact that there is such a gap between him and everyone else. It's no secret. But at least appreciate what we have going on here. And we need to stop worrying about trying to convert others. It's not our problem anymore. What he did on Saturday was nothing short of amazing. Now, let me ask New York Rick, who is in the back, and I think I saw him earlier with crocodile tears. He is so sad over what happened on Saturday. Tell the people, New York Rick, if you can, if you're available to speak to us. Oh, there he is. This fight was, what was it at? It was like, I'm going to guess, I could look it up, but I'm going to guess it was at around 8:45 Eastern time. Right before the fight started, I believe you received a text message.
I did.
What did it say?
It said, hello, this is
no
somebody you may know. My name is Ariel Helwani. I'm writing to you because I respect you and I respect your opinion on fight prognostication.
Get to the point.
I wanted to know what you thought. No. What it said was, I have a feeling that there's going to be an upset.
It just said upset coming.
There you go.
It said upset coming. And it was for me. And there was something about Jacare's demeanor, and there was something about Robert Whittaker's demeanor. And I'm not the guy who, after the fact, is going to say, oh, I called it. But in this case,
except that you